am the real Asir. Welcome to another episode of Emerging Beyond with Asir. And if you're just tuning in for the first time, welcome to the show. I would like to just tell you that Emerging Beyond is so special to me because basically it deals with the stories of individuals that have had an insurmountable amount of trials and tribulations to actually emerge, meaning to just rise above, which is what beyond means, and then find their purpose through overcoming those trials and tribulations. My special guest today is Ocain, master cosmetologist, author, host, and many more. We're going to hear her story when we come back from the break. Stay tuned. This is a story that you do not want to miss, right here on Emerging Beyond. Welcome back to the show. My special guest today, her name is Ocain. And if the name doesn't say magnitudes, oh my gosh, when I first heard the name, how can you not love this woman or see her smile? And when she walks into the room, you're like, girl, your mom just named you. There's power in the name, Ocain. How does it make you feel every time somebody says that? Now you're smiling right now when I say it.
I'm like, wow, I am. You know, as a child, I went through the dictionary looking up, like my name is in a dictionary. But I'm just like, well, I love it. I love it. It fits me.
Yes, it really, really does. It really does. Now, speaking of names, you coined a phrase, and I had to actually go through the dictionary to try to break this down and figure out, where did you get Dysweavephoria?
Dysweavephoria. Yes. Well, it was through my battle of the trauma that I've gone through and realizing that I was addicted. I've found myself masked behind the hair, masked behind what I saw in the mirror. And as long as I looked in the mirror and I looked good, then okay, I've put this mask on and I'm ready for the world. And so it was until I actually realized that, okay, this is a problem, truly a problem that God had to himself walk me through to realize that, okay, you have a problem.
Well, we're going to break down the word real quick because I had to do my research. She made me do homework, you guys. She made me do homework. So when I broke down the word, of course, having a medical background myself, the word dis means ill or bad. And then, of course, weave comes from periwig, which refers to the use of synthetic. Now, I did not know animal hair as well, and human hair to conceal baldness and restore hair appearance. And then, of course, phoria, the state or tendency of something. So basically, you are helping people overcome the state or tendency to think that wearing wigs or weaves is bad. Go ahead and correct me on that.
Well, now here's the thing, because again, people have over the years adopted this, you know, and hid behind this, and it's their mask. But what they fail to understand is that they're hiding behind something which is a false security. So when you're in that state, in that place, you're not seeking God in that place. In that place, you're hiding behind something that it is not giving you no power. It's not giving you any strength. The only strength that you have is, okay, as I look in the mirror and as I look good, let me keep this mask on, and you're masking it. You're not delivered.
I am my hair instead of I'm not my hair. I'm hiding behind my hair.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, okay, explain to me some of the situations you've been in where you've had men display that they're a lack of wanting to wear a toupee or a hairpiece.
Well, actually, it's the same thing.
Is it?
It's the same thing, because we as women, and you know, we tend to, because they say we as women, we're emotional, you know, and so for me, you know, are they strong? You know, they can carry it, but not every man is built like that.
Right.
You know, and so for them, it's okay, me having this mask on, you know, I'm appealing to my wife. Me having this mask on, I can go and fulfill this job. Me having this mask on, you know, I'm strong and I have all authority with this mask on, you know, but again, without it, they're vulnerable. Without it, they're weak. Without it, you know, there is no strength, you know. And so they are too battling with the same thing that we are.
Wow, wow. Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to go to a quick break. And I've heard your story before. You've shared your story before. But we want to talk about how did you get back to this place of healing coming out of trauma. So we're going to talk about the trauma that she experienced. And that's what this show is about, being open and transparent, to be able to share our stories, but then also be able to tell people how you emerge beyond. So when we come back from this quick break, we're going to go into her story, and then we're going to find out more about Miss Morale Ocain.
Bless.
Welcome back to our show, Emerging Beyond, with Miss Morale Ocain. What a beautiful name.
Thank you.
We're going to go a little bit deeper.
Okay.
I know you shared this story before. For those of you that don't know, 2003 was a big thing in your life that transpired. And whereas most people during Valentine's Day, they're celebrating love and happiness and affection, and it even starts well into January where you start seeing the balloons and stuff. Tell us what that feeling is like for you.
Every year is different. You know, there are times when I'm led to talk about it in the salon, and I have to, you know, ask the client, are you okay to hear this? But I know there's something or a reason why God asked me to share it, and I'm able to deliver it.
Well, share with our listeners what happened Valentine's Day 2003.
Well, I woke up to our home being on fire, and it was almost like I was snatched out, because it wasn't, I wasn't groggy, what, you know, it was just like I was on the floor and split second, oh my God, you know, my feet are hot and I got to get to my children, and I jumped through the window without even thinking, you know, jumped through the window, and when I hit the ground, I heard my ankles crack.
Oh my goodness. So at that point in your mindset, it's like, oh my God, my babies. How many babies were in the home?
3.
At that time, it's like my babies are in the house. And I can only imagine what was going through your mind, especially myself working in the OR. There's nothing like hearing a mother scream at the loss of her child. I mean,
well, at the time, I'm thinking I'm gonna get to them. And so as I am, you know, I mean, I knew I could not get up, so I'm crawling, you know. So my husband comes behind me and kind of snatches me off to the side. But this way, where I landed at, I can now see, you know, and I realized that the door was open. And so my husband goes in, and I'm just I'm at basically a state of shock, is what I want to say I was in, because I was just numb. I was just, you know, because it's like, okay, this is not real. This is like a scene from a movie.
Yes.
And so as my husband I'm watching him, and he's coming back out, walking backwards, and I see him, his arm is extended, and as he's walking back, I'm just kind of seeing the fire growing, but I'm like, okay, he's coming out with my children. And so when he had taken the last step out and he pulled my son out, the house went up, and at that time I knew that I had lost my oldest daughter and my oldest son.
Oh no.
My two oldest children. And I was just out of my mind. And I can't think of another word to describe it.
At what point, I know this is hard to get over. I mean, I can't even imagine what it's like to lose a child. But at what point did it finally hit you, like, as a realization that they were not coming back?
When the rescue crew got there, and as they're placing, I was just, when I saw the flames go up, I knew that they were not coming back. And so, and at that time when they got there, they went to giving me, injecting me, and I was just, my thoughts were, God, how did you allow this to happen? That was my thought. That is what was going through my head as I'm headed to the hospital, the emergency room.
Did you get a chance to see them and say goodbye?
No, because it was a closed casket. I think the hardest thing for me was having to tell my 9-year-old son that his siblings had passed. But then how do you explain it? They don't make it out, but he made it out. And so it was, thinking of, it was just the unbelief, like, I cannot believe that this is happening. I felt like I was picked up out of one life and just placed in another. It was just like that. It was just, okay, I have this one life one day, and the next day I'm in a totally different life.
Yes, and this is not your first time dealing with trauma. However, this actually propelled you into a state of depression.
It did. It did. Because again, you having gone through what I've gone through, and my grandmother used to say to me, baby, you've gone through such a hard childhood, and when your adult life is going to be great. So when you hit your 20s, you're an adult, so, and I was doing well, working for a corporation, making great money, bought my first house when I was in like 21. And so, I was just like, okay, this is what Granny was talking about. But when that happened, I'm like, okay, what? It was, I couldn't believe it. It was devastating.
And the depression took you into drugs.
And yes, because how do you get through, you think, okay, I started self-medicating, because I don't want to cry anymore. I want to know I got to get through today, because my thing was taking one day at a time, and so I started smoking marijuana, and I pretty much, I stayed there for 13 years. It was until, I never forget because I was battling. I was wanting to get closer to Christ, battling smoking marijuana, and so I never forget. I said, okay, well, you know what? I'm not gonna smoke during the week, just on the weekend. So when that Friday came, I was happy. And I never forget when the Father said, you need to make a decision or everything would be in vain.
Wow.
So let me just say this. What I've come to realize about the Father is that he's very crystal clear on what he said. He didn't say some things. He didn't say it might be. He said everything would be in vain. When I digested that everything was me not seeing my kids, me not, you know, I mean, I would lose, I would lose that grace. You know, I mean, just, so when you say so at that moment, I went to praising him, and that was it. At that moment, my husband said, well, hold on. How did you, I said, Sean, I don't even know what it feels like to be high again. He's like, hold on, now, how do you not know? I don't. But at that same time, he walked me through being addicted to the hair weave. And so that was all a part of his plan.
And on that note, we're going to come right back, and Morale is going to tell us how she stays encouraged, how she inspires others, and she's going to leave you with some uplifting words. Welcome back. So we've just heard your phenomenal story, at least parts of it. There's more, but you'd have to get that from her in the book or on her show. But we're going to actually find out, with all of that you've just went through, having children at an early age, then turning around and losing 2 of them in a fire, breaking your ankles, jumping out of the house. You know, most people still couldn't cope, especially at the loss of a child. Absolutely. And then having holidays come around and roll around and having to still be reminded.
Absolutely.
2 holidays, in fact. How do you stay encouraged? How do you stay encouraged to continue to go on and do what you do to help others?
I start my day with my gospel music. Have to. I have to stay in the presence of. It keeps my mind focused. It keeps me driven and encouraged to do what I'm doing. And then also too, I would have to say that the hair debate, that platform, because what God did say to me is that he was, even though I lost my 2, he said, you will still see them in other children. And so let me just say that I'm truly blessed.
Yes, you are.
Being a cosmetologist and having individuals that would say to me, you know, my young girls, and you're like a mom to me, and we have that relationship. And so that love that I shared with my oldest daughter, that's not gone. You know, that love, I'm connecting with people because I love people. And so, so with that platform of the hair debate, I'm able to use hair topics to talk about things that will inspire or grow an individual, even if I have to use my story or someone else's story. And then also too, talking about the dysweavephoria and what that is and how that could help others. But what I have to do is to stay in the presence of the Lord. So I'm listening to music. It could be Tasha Cobb, something a little bit more to the soul. Depends on what I'm feeling. Brian T. with just a little bit more bass. It just depends on what I'm feeling.
Well, you talk about your husband. You talk about your husband, and he was there throughout all of this. Who inspires you?
I have to say my family, my husband and my children. Those individuals, I tell you, have supported me through it all, you know, through the cries, through encouraging, saying that, you know, we're here. What do you need for us to do? Because again, I'm the one that has to sit in the front and do this. And so, you know, they're not selfish of their time, you know, and so at the end of the day, you know, it's looking in their faces and saying to them, okay, you know, this is what mom is wanting to leave. Not only just something that will help you guys, but then also to your children and their children. And so that is truly what inspires me.
Look at the camera and to that woman that is going through depression.
Yes.
That woman that has lost a child. Someone who's addicted to wearing their hair weave because they don't feel enough confidence in their self. Someone who, like myself, was in a domestic violence situation and I lost my hair due to stress and I was too ashamed to wear my real hair. To that woman, look at the camera and give them some uplifting words.
One of the things that I want to empower and encourage you is that when we go through trauma and circumstances in life, we tend to, if it's someone that is involved into it, we want to look at that person, or, we want to, stay focused on the situation. But now this is written, and this is what we do know, is that the enemy comes to rob, steal, and kill. That we do know. And so now when he comes to you and with this trauma, attacking one attack after another, you may get a little break, but then again, another attack. Well, let me just say this. This is what we have to do. We have to understand that we're not battling. We're not battling the individuals. Okay, we need to understand where it is coming from, which is the enemy. But what we say is that we are here to take everything, everything back that you took from us. We stand on that. We mandate. We're not asking. And in that power, when you say, I want everything that the enemy took back from me, that power right there is what you tap into and you mandate it. You don't ask. And so that is what I leave for you today.
Ladies and gentlemen, my special guest, Miss Morale McCain, author, entrepreneur, a woman who has lost 2 children, but then she is inspired to go back and pick up the pieces and take the world's children and inspire and uplift and encourage them. What more can I say? The name is very befitting. On this show, we desire to encourage, inspire, and uplift our community. If you have a story that you would like to share with the world that you think may help someone else, feel free to reach out to us at therealaseer.com and click that link that says Emerging Beyond. We would love to share your story here on this show. And if you are battling suicide or depression, call the National Suicide Hotline. It's open 24 hours a day. There's someone there to help you. The phone number is 800-273-8255. I am your host, Asir, and we'll see you on the next Emerging Beyond.